pest dispensers. Everyone loves them. But what are you supposed to do with them once you've finished all the candy? Are you supposed to throw them away? Are you supposed to keep them in a collection? Well, I think the only right thing to do with a used pest dispenser is to turn it into a shooting mechanism to shoot homemade darts. The first step is to mercilessly decapitate your pest dispenser. Don't worry, it won't feel a thing. After you've done this, take the head of the pest dispenser and put it off to the side. We won't be using this. Then, take the middle white shaft and push it out of the main body of the pest dispenser, which leaves us with 3 separate pieces. The little white piece at the top, the main body, and the white shaft. Next, take the spring and remove it from the white shaft, which leaves us with 4 pieces. The next step is to cut the small plastic white rectangle out of the bottom of this main shaft. Once you've cut it out, you'll notice there's a little flap at the bottom that was used to hold the spring in place. Make sure to remove this, as it will not work if that's still there. Once you've cut out the rectangle, take a popsicle stick, and you're going to want to cut it to the same length as the main body of the pest dispenser. I found it's pretty difficult to cut a popsicle stick with a knife or scissors, so I use the sharp part of pliers, which works really well, but it leaves some little frays at the end of the popsicle stick, so use a knife to trim these off to make the top and the bottom smooth. After you've cut the popsicle stick, use hot glue to glue it vertically onto the plastic rectangle that we cut out earlier. Make sure that this part completely dries before continuing on to the next step, and make sure it is stable and doesn't wobble back and forth. Use as much glue as necessary for this step, as it's very important that it does not move. After the glue has dried, take another sheet of plastic from the white shaft earlier and cut it into a rectangle slightly smaller than the rectangle cut out earlier. After that, you're going to want to cut a hole in this rectangle big enough for the popsicle stick to slide through. After the hole is big enough for the popsicle stick to slide through, slide it down the popsicle stick and glue it onto the other end of the bullet where all the other glue is. This part can be very difficult, and it's very easy for the rectangle to snap, so take your time and make sure you don't break it. After the thing is glued on to the end of the bullet, take a knife and you're going to want to trim down all of the edges of the glue to make the end of the bullet small enough so that it can fit into the main shaft of the pest dispenser. The goal is to get it small enough so it can easily slide in and out without any resistance. As you can see there, it was just too big to fit into the pest dispenser, so it needs to be trimmed down a little bit more. Now you can see it is small enough to easily slide in and out of the main body. It can go all the way through with no problems. Now we finished the bullet, we're going to move on to the shooting mechanism. First, take the small little white piece from the top. We're going to want to drill a hole inside the top of it as we did for the white rectangle earlier. The goal of this is to get it just big enough so that the popsicle stick can slide through it, but just small enough so that the spring does not. Make sure that you get as little resistance to the popsicle stick as you can when carving out this part. Next, you're going to take some hot glue and put it inside the cap that you just made. Be careful, it can get very hot. The plastic is pretty thin and it would be it easily burns you. Then, take the spring and put it inside the cap to glue it in place. Once you've done that, before it dries, take a popsicle stick and slide it through the hole in the glue so that it does not block the hole that we just made. Make sure that the hole in the glue and the spring is big enough so that a popsicle stick can slide through. Next, take the main body of the pest dispenser and slide the spring and the white piece inside it, making sure that this part is at the back end of the pest dispenser. Once it's all the way up, make sure it's aligned at the top, and then at the bottom, use one of your fingers to hold the entire thing in place. Once we've done this, we're going to take the hot glue gun and glue this whole thing into place at the top and wait for it to fully dry. Make sure it is fully dry before continuing to the next step, or the whole thing will break. After it's dry, to see how the shooting mechanism works, you can take your bullet and thread it all the way through the pest dispenser. Then, when the popsicle stick pops out the other end, you can pull it, and then when you let go, it'll shoot. Now, all we need to do is make a trigger mechanism. To start, take the bullet and thread it through the pest dispenser and pull it out the other end as far as it will go. Then, use a pin to put a mark on the popsicle stick at the base of where it meets the pest dispenser. Then put it on top of the pest dispenser and make a mark as far down as the bullet goes. This is where the blocker for the bullet will go, so it doesn't shoot until we pull the trigger. Then you're going to use a knife to cut down about a third of the way around here. This part takes a really long time. For a reference, this is 25 times speed in the video, so just be patient and make sure to do it carefully. Then you're going to take one of these white pieces from earlier. You're going to want to cut it so it's just big enough, just wider than the pest dispenser and just taller than the hole. So it just fits in with slight overlap on both dimensions. Then you're going to want to cut a little slit on both edges of it about as wide apart as the pest dispenser is wide. Then we have two little notches, and in the middle of them we're going to drill a hole. Try to get this as close to the middle as possible. Then we're going to take a string, thread it through the hole, and then tie a knot. After you've done this, take a little white rectangle and put it inside the pest dispenser. Next, take a rubber band, put it in one of the notches, then wrap it around the pest dispenser and put it in the other notch. Now we have our trigger mechanism done. To fire, just put the bullet in the pest dispenser, pull it back out the other end until it can't move anymore. Then pull the trigger mechanism up and slide it all the way back until it can't move. Then put the trigger back down. Now it's loaded. To fire, just pull the string.